listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Bạn đang nghe chính bộ não của mình phát sóng trực tiếp. Chương trình sẽ bắt đầu trong thời gian ngắn nữa. Chúc bạn thưởng thức.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, and the news isn't always fun, but it is always new. It's right in the name. Welcome back. It's another beautiful day. It is December 10th. Can you believe it? The days are flying by quicker than anything, honestly. Quicker than anything I can't make a comparison. My mind is moving too quickly, just like time. Can you believe it? It's already the afternoon, and you're already about to lose another day. Can you believe that? Anyways, folks, welcome back to another broadcast. It's fantastic to be back with y'all. We're back at it again. We got quite a collection of news stories to talk about with you. Some news, some pop culture. We're going to be covering a wide range of subjects. There's a lot of stuff to discuss today. I hope that you're all coming in as refreshed and feeling new as me. I had some coffee. I got my mind feeling sharp. I'm feeling good. That's the one way that I can, that's the one word I can use to describe the way that I am feeling. I'm feeling good, and I hope that you are as well. So why don't we, instead of just kind of filling the rest of this beginning with more words, let's just go ahead and hop into our first story, because, folks, we got the first Democrat in more than 30 years to win the Miami mayor spot. Eileen Higgins. Fascinating, right? Eileen Higgins. On December 9th, this is just yesterday, Eileen Higgins defeated her opponent, Emilio Gonzalez, in a runoff Miami mayor race, earning about 59% of the vote to Gonzalez's 41%. This victory makes her the first woman ever elected to be mayor of Miami, and the first Democrat to hold the office in nearly 30 years. Miami, if anyone is unfamiliar, is becoming slowly a seat of power on the East Coast. Not necessarily. I'm not going to claim that it's an Austin type of situation, but we're absolutely seeing quite a few people flock there. We're seeing it become a cultural piece, like an epicenter for tech, crypto bros, all those fucking people that like to hide out, and they love to hide their money, and they love to be right next to the beach. That's kind of the vibe that it's serving to a lot of people, and honestly, I love that city. I think that it could be one that I could see myself dying in. It's one you see a lot of death in, quite frankly. It's one that you do see a lot. The death rate is so high because of the amount of old people that decide to flock over to Florida for some reason I don't know why that's a spot when people get old. It's Florida and Maine. It's the top and the bottom of our countries where for some reason the elderly flock to. It's bizarre. But anyways, though the race, it's technically nonpartisan. The win is has strong partisan implications. It ends a long stretch of Republican-aligned leadership in the city that serves as a cultural and political gateway between the U.S. mainland and Latin America. This place, it's a cultural landmark. If you don't know, the Cuban influence on it's been huge. Not just Cuba, but that's one of the major countries that you'll see. There's cafecito places on every corner. Higgins, if you don't know anything about this bitch, I didn't know anything about her, but she seems legit. She was born in Ohio. She was raised in New Mexico. She holds a BS in medical engineering and an MBA from Cornell. Fascinating, right? She's like that one guy from The Office, Andy Bernard. She moved to Miami in the early 2000s and became involved in the community advocacy before entering the politics scene. Her political rise began when she was elected to the Miami-Dade County Commission in 2018. She was reelected in 2022 and 2024. During her time on the commission, she was strongly associated with her affordable housing, public transit improvements, and environmental sustainability, backing developments of thousands of affordable housing units, expanding bus/transport infrastructure, and pushing environmental resilience initiatives. Good for her. She's got a solid track record. she's one of these people where I look at her background, and I'm not it's not like a Katie Porter, where I look at Katie Porter's situations where she's sat on seats of power and whatnot, and I look at the general state of where she's at, and I listen, LA has not had any advancement in their high-speed rail. Her region of California in general, it hasn't been doing great since the fires and whatnot. Just the aesthetic of Western California, it lacks the luster, it lacks the charm that it used to have. Everybody used to dream back in the early 2000s. We would watch Nickelodeon shows that used to paint Hollywood Hills art schools and shit like that, all as like the dream to get out there. That's the dream, is you want to move out to Los Angeles. You want to move out to Los Angeles so that producers like Dan Schneider can find you as kids, and then you can be a concubine while also being, I don't know, like a child star. Maybe you'll have a Kenan Thompson type career where you rise up from like this little known television show, and then you end up on SNL, one of these sketch comedy shows, and then you never leave, and you're just kind of this cultural fixture that we kind of have, where you're in T-Mobile ads and things like that, and everybody goes, oh, is that Kenan Thompson's voice when we hear you in kids shows and things like that? You're there. You're either going to have that, or you're going to have a Jeanette McCurdy experience where one of those producers goes a little far, and then eventually you get to write a book, but that's, we all pay our prices. Her background also includes work in international development and consulting, including infrastructure and transportation projects across Latin America before she entered elected government. The mayoral role in Miami doesn't carry sweeping elective powers all over the city functions. The position is highly symbolic and influential. It guides tone and priorities and sets public expectations, and can influence local policies and city-to-county coordination. Many view her victory as a shift in priorities towards affordability, infrastructure, transit, immigrant community concerns, and environmental resilience. Issues that she championed and campaigned on. She's made it kind of the broad, sweeping overlook on her thing. Given Miami, it's a very diverse, immigrant-heavy, rapidly growing city. A mayor focused on affordable housing, better transit, and all that sort of stuff is going to make the city way more appealing. It's going to make it... Listen, am I saying that the dream for a lot of kids nowadays when they're watching YouTube channels is to go out to Nashville or to go out to Florida instead of to going out to LA to buy a house with all your friends and live in the Hollywood Hills? I'm saying maybe. Maybe the dream instead is shifting a little bit east. I'm worried about that. Atlanta's seeing a big jump. You're seeing all these coastal cities get big influences of people who are fleeing western cities, unfortunately. You know what I mean? This is Oregon. This is Washington. All of these places are seeing emigration instead of immigration. And, not in the context of like they're seeing it from other countries. I'm talking about their local populations and other states' populations within the United States moving to or from a certain state. All these West Coast states saw extreme drips and drops in their population ever since the fires, ever since COVID, all these sorts of things that made people kind of flee a little bit. They made people nervous. After the 2010s kind of golden era for the West Coast, I'm worried that it's going to be a little more decentralized. Everybody can get famous on their phones. They don't necessarily have to rely on the back alley producers anymore. You can literally start peddling your child on TikTok. You can start a TikTok account where it's like you and your kid, and then you could literally be your kid starts a TikTok account, and then you're like a shitty cook, like Ma and whatever that kid's name is, where he just records the shitty food his mom makes, and that's the whole joke. That's the joke, by the way. And a lot of people watch it and they go, is it actually, do they really eat this way? Yes, but it's not funny. It's not funny because legitimately, you look at the way that she feeds this kid and you're like, oh my God, that's why he looks this way. That's why all of them kind of look a little strange. It's because they're eating canned cheese and I don't know what else to say out there. It's like Spam. It's ham that's coming out of a can that, listen, she made like a Thanksgiving that was, I'm sorry, this woman needs to be locked in an asylum and her children need to be taken from her. Even though, listen, he's like 20-something, he still manages to make videos with his mom every day. So you're like, are you still living at home? And it's like, okay, cool, well, good for you, that's all right. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Let's just get this clip from CBS News. Whatever.
Breaking news out of Miami. Voters are putting a Democrat into the mayor's seat for the first time
yes, they
in more
are.
than 30 years. Former County Commissioner Eileen Higgins declared the winner in today's runoff. Higgins won with 59% of the vote, defeating Miami City Manager Emilio Gonzalez, who was backed by President Trump. Moments ago, Higgins celebrated her victory with supporters. She was asked about her victory that comes despite Trump's throwing his support behind her opponent.
For me, it's the people of Miami that voted for me. What I knew all along is I have the support of the residents. I have served them for 8 years. They have always reelected me, and they showed tonight that they like my track record of always going to work for them, and that's what they chose tonight.
Eileen Higgins there saying that voters like her track record. Let's check in with CBS News correspondent Christiana Benavides, who joins us live now. Wow, what a shakeup here. The mayoral seat just flipped from red to blue for the first time in decades. So why don't you first tell us about what made this switch? How did she sway voters? What was the change?
Let's be real here. She's a spook. That's what everybody looked at. They were like, oh, this is a woman who's literally been around government. She's been haunting the halls of government for years. She's been one of those background faces, but we know that she has years and years, over decades of experience or whatever. Like, she's one of these background players that we can just pluck out of nowhere. That's the kind of people that they always go for. You know what I mean? And that's, I have no issue with that. Let's just go ahead and let's hear this guy's brilliant breakdown.
Well, look, and just to be clear, this is a blowout victory for Democrats. And to put all of this into perspective, the last time the city of Miami elected a Democrat as mayor was in 1993. So for the first time in more than 30 years, Democrats have won an election in Miami. Now, there was a win back in 1997 that was overturned by legal challenges, but I mean, by all accounts, this 20-point victory, hugely symbolic for a Democratic Party that in Florida has been at the receiving end of a number of losses. The state is practically a red state at this point. We saw how the president has won here, how Governor DeSantis has won here. But I spoke to the Democratic candidate prior to the election, and she said that if she wins, it would be in part a referendum on President Trump's immigration policy, which she called sinful. Now, to take a step back a little bit further, the city of Miami has a population that is about 57% foreign born. That's according to the 2024 U.S. Census, and about half are naturalized U.S. citizens.
Half are naturalized U.S. citizens, but over half of the population of Miami is foreign born. That's a fascinating statistic, is it not?
Who were eligible to vote in this election. And while nationally Hispanic voters trend Democrat, in South Florida it has always been the case that Republicans have found a stronghold among Cuban, Venezuelan, and Nicaraguan communities.
A lot of people don't realize this. You go into any kind of diaspora of Latin culture. You go to the immigrants who are like first generation. You go to my grandma, for instance. My grandma was an immigrant from Panama. She was a first generation. She came over here barely able to speak any English, which is like, and I love that, by the way. My grandpa got a mail order bride. It went well for him, and they were like, yep, all right, bag her up, let's go. And then they she seemed really happy by the end of it. But what I'm saying is that, like, if that works for you, that works for you. But if you talk to these first generations, these people that came over, at 18, they really didn't wear shoes before this. They lived in the concrete homes and things like that. My grandma grew up in the jungle in like near David, not Canada. I'm retarded, Panama. But she out in those sticks. You know what I mean? The boondocks. She would wash her clothes in the river. You know what I mean? This level of, like, she was blind as a young girl for a certain period of time because of some sort of malady. And I remember she used to tell me stories about, like, eating rice with her hands and drinking coffee, because that was one of the only ways that they had to make water safe, was that they would drink coffee, because you have to boil water in order to make coffee. And that was just one of the things that stands out in my head. You talk to a lot of these people who come from countries that have been ravaged by the wrath of communism, or communist countries near them, or influence from nations abroad. You look at these people who come from Cuba, Venezuela, Panama, Colombia, Cuba, anywhere in the Latin Central American world, they will be some of the most conservative, often Christian people you will ever meet in your life. My grandmother was a devout Episcopalian her entire life, apparently. When Christianity was first introduced to her as a young girl, she apparently had an immediate liking to it and whatnot. She was warned about brujas her entire life. She was very tied into the idea that the spiritual realm is something real and it's not something to fuck with. It's not something to even joke about. She scolded me, chastised me one time. She caught me playing with a Ouija board. I understand why she did that now. Makes total sense because she was deep into that whole stuff. I get that. Listen, they are some of the most conservative people you will meet in your life. She was devoutly Christian. She was incredibly men should marry men, men should marry women, women should marry men. You know what I mean? I don't want men marrying men and women marrying women. It's kind of like, listen, it's not that she was like against it. She wasn't like, I want them thrown off of, she wasn't Islamic. She was not like, I want them thrown off of buildings, but she was like, I do not agree with it. And I don't believe that my church should be she didn't go to church, but she was like, I don't believe that they should be canonizing their marriages and things like that, which is fine. You know what I mean? It was her upbringing. It was under, she was raised with these very core beliefs and whatnot. You believe when you're from a third world country, you hold these beliefs like core to your person. That's just how it is. And Miami, if it's one of these places that's full of my grandmas. They're just sitting around. They are they are gambling their money away that the government sends them, and they are sitting near each other. They're smoking cigarettes and a misty Slims blues, and they're sitting on the machines, clicking the buttons, going like, you want to talk about. And they talk about nothing. That's the thing, is that they talk about very little, but they talk about their values, their faith, and their family, and that's about it. That's the only thing. It's Golden Girls, but it is it's the gals. It's. I love my grandma. I always will, but she is not the most tolerant of other views. Let's just put it that way. So for them to win in Miami with such a conservative population, with a conservative lean, because they can influence the younger generations more than you think. For them to win big in Miami, this is a big historic kind of jolt the other direction for the Democrats. This is good news for the left-leaning individuals of this party. Not to mention the fact that she's a relatively moderate one. She's not a self-identified democratic socialist or anything nutty.
Fled communist and socialist governments. However, immigration has reached a flashpoint in Florida, where state troopers are carrying out immigration enforcement. It's become the home to Alligator Alcatraz, the immigration detention center, and the state has a majority of Venezuelan immigrants to the U.S., many of them integrated into the local economy. You have over 250,000 of whom recently lost their temporary protected status. So what Higgins did is she certainly hammered the point on immigration. She also focused on affordability, a huge issue in Miami, and also focused on climate change. There are a number of areas that flood on a regular basis across Miami. So we have seen the effects of changing climate across Miami just by virtue of being here. So those were her three top issues, particularly on immigration and affordability, and it appears to have worked.
Good for her. We're happy for Eileen. I don't know what else to say. Use this woman as a template. If you're a Democrat running for office, use this woman as a template. Go moderate, go decent, go down the line, and go on 80% issues that you can get a lot of support on. That's my ultimate advice, and that's all I'm going to leave that story with. Folks, have you heard of established titles? It's this silly kind of idea where you buy something online and then essentially they lease 1 foot of land to you in somewhere in Scotland, and it's something to where you can help save trees, blah, 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 blah. Really, who cares, honestly? I hear about this and I'm falling asleep. Folks, for just a modest fee, you can, instead of going ahead and becoming a lord of Scotland, who gives a shit, you can become a baron of land in the finally newly opened to trade regions of North Korea. That is correct, just north of the beautiful city of Pyongyang. For modest contribution to the eternal anti-imperialist struggle, you can become a supreme commander of the People's Revolutionary Barony of Mount Paitaku. It's a beautiful province of land surrounded by the eternal sun goddess that lords over the rivers, or if you would like, you can become an honorary dear respected comrade viscount of the immortal science of Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-ilism. Each certificate is personally stamped by a mid-level carder who definitely didn't just buy the stamp off the black market. And it comes with an authentic-looking photo of you saluting next to the supreme leader. Do not worry, we Photoshop out the green screen lines, no charge. Don't worry about it. Just you're fine. Payable in hard currency, precious metals, or high-quality methamphetamine. Each certificate is also emblazoned with every single thing that you're going to need in order to get it through customs. And listen, we can't promise you that you're going to be able to visit your plot of land anytime soon. Depending on whether or not we are allowed to take it off of the red travel list at this point. But we'll figure it out in the meantime. We'll send you a photo of the land, something like that. They'll have something. Act now and receive a free limited edition badge proclaiming you as an enemy of American imperialism. Perfect for confusing airport security. Supplies are strictly limited by the heroic efforts of our sanctions-evading procurement teams. Established title, because nothing says I hate capitalism like buying a fake North Korean nobility title for only $499.99. Glory to the people who purchase from us. Folks, I want to talk about this. We're jumping into our second story. There's a new thing up in the pop culture boom right now. There's a lot of talk about Wicked wasn't that good this. Zootopia 2 is really good that. Oh, whatever. The movies, you know what I mean? They're kind of bumping, unusually. You know what I mean? They're getting decent box offices. It's not going to be enough to save Hollywood, trust me. Eventually, Disney is going to be bought out by, Swanson TV Dinners or something like that. It's going to be over, and there's going to be no actual lanes of conversation. There's going to be no good movie studios left anymore. All of our entertainment is going to be AI generated, and you will like it. You will enjoy it. Don't worry about it. But there is a new documentary that has been making waves on Prime Video alleging major conspiracies and government involvement. Folks, the documentary is Age of Disclosure, directed by Dan Farah. It premiered at South by Southwest in March of this year, before its wide release in November. It serves as a provocative expose on decades of alleged government secrecy surrounding unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAPs. And at its core, the Age of Disclosure asserts that the United States government has concealed irrefutable evidence of extraterrestrial life and advanced non-human technology for over 80 years, beginning with the 1947 Roswell incident, to prevent public panic and safeguard reverse engineering efforts from adversaries like Russia and China. The film, featuring 34 high-profile interviewees from military, intelligence, and political spheres, claims this cover-up involves a sophisticated disinformation campaign orchestrated by the Department of Defense, now the Department of War, labeling witnesses as crackpots and suppressing classified footage of UAPs exhibiting impossible feats like hypersonic velocities, instantaneous acceleration, trans-medium travel, and anti-gravity propulsion. Farah's narrative in Age of Disclosure frames it not just as a national security issue, but as the biggest discovery in human history, with potential benefits like clean energy from reverse-engineered tech overshadowed by the ethical rot of perceived prolonged deception. Delving deeper into the alleged alien involvement, the Age of Disclosure posits that non-human intelligences have been interacting with the United States government since at least the mid-20th century, with officials recovering crashed spacecraft and non-human beings for study in underground bunkers. The documentary highlights programs like the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, and a shadowy legacy program, which purportedly handled crash retrievals and back engineering, operating so covertly that even presidents and Congress are kept in the dark on a need-to-know basis. Interviewees in The Age of Disclosure describe UAPs deactivating nuclear weapons at U.S. and Russian sites, hovering over military bases like Vandenberg Air Force Base in massive forms such as red cubes or black rectangles, and demonstrating capabilities that defy terrestrial physics, implying long-term extraterrestrial presence, possibly as interdimensional or ancient entities monitoring humanity. The film alleges this involvement escalated post-Roswell in 1947, with the government racing to exploit alien tech for defense while silencing whistleblowers through intimidation, underscoring a deep state conspiracy that the Age of Disclosure warns could give rivals a strategic edge if not disclosed too soon. So a lot of what they're saying here, and I'm gonna put it in terms that a lot of people may be able to understand even clearer if we just kind of say it plainly, is that these people are talking about there is a new Cold War. People know about the Cold War before, where we were trying to figure out nuclear weapons before any other country. Yeah, we know all about that. We know about how they were trying to do all that. This is a step up, folks. We're going ahead and saying that the Cold War II is happening, but it's not happening over AI. It's not happening over any of that. Cold War II has been happening in the background for at least a few years. They are trying to figure out, country by country, they are trying to reverse engineer supposedly alien technology in order to use them for themselves. And I don't know how one would do this. I don't know how one would harness this energy. There's a lot of talk about element 115, which is this supposed substance that once you bombard it with radiation, it can bend gravity around it, and it can result in like propulsion experts don't even fully understand all of this sort of stuff, but central to the Age of Disclosure's credibility are its marquee contributors, including former Pentagon officials Luis Elizondo, who led AATIP and acts as the film's pseudo-narrator, claiming first-hand knowledge of non-human craft and a disinformation plot that forced his resignation. Elizondo is joined by Jay Stratton, AATIP co-founder and UAP task force director, who boldly states in the documentary, I have seen, quote, this is a quote from the documentary, quote, I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings. That is, confirming that for everybody is a curious blow. I mean, listen, they need to think of anything at this point. They need to think of anything that they can pull. You know what I mean? I think people are so ready at a certain point to kind of fight. They realize that, oh yeah, you can just walk into the Capitol that easy. They look at January 6th and they're like, damn, that wasn't that hard. That wasn't that hard. So you have to find out a way to make people scared. I'm thinking the next move, fake the alien invasion. Fake that. Like, make everybody terrified. Take everybody Project Blue Beam them. You know what I mean? Go ahead and blow visions in the sky where we're all being told by angels in Christ to surrender ourselves, and that's it. Then it's over, because then you got everybody. You have the evangelicals, you have the non-believers, because they're like, fuck, here it is, right there. It's put right in front of my eyes. Detailing nuclear site interferences, political heavyweights like Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Mike Rounds, former CIA Director John Brennan, and ex-Director of National Intelligence James Clapper lend bipartisan weight, with Rubio decrying the opacity that ramps out of control. Military voices such as Navy pilot David Fravor of the 2004 Tic Tac encounter and Ryan Graves, alongside scientists like Hal Puthoff and Gary Nolan, reinforced the Age of Disclosure's thesis through eyewitness accounts and data analysis, portraying the unified front against the secrecy machine. you're getting voices that are currently sitting on, the president's personal team. Marco Rubio is sitting there. Marco Rubio's in the meetings, and he chose on his own volition to appear in a documentary that confirms aliens, and it's called The Age of Disclosure. All I'm saying is that if you haven't seen this, I would say go ahead and give it a watch real quick, or give it a watch maybe on your downtime, because maybe this is stuff that we need to keep in our normal, regular, everyday conversation. In its closing arguments, The Age of Disclosure builds an urgent call for transparency, predicting the sitting U.S. president will soon confirm humanity's cosmic solitude is a myth, ending the era of lies and ushering in a pragmatic shift. While critics note the film's reliance on unverifiable testimonies and disputed claims, like Elizondo's AATIP role, the documentary's polished assembly of elite sources amplifies its message, challenging viewers to demand disclosure amid rising UAP sightings worldwide. Ultimately, The Age of Disclosure isn't just what's it called? It's going ahead, and it's not just like a normal fucking thing that's coming out and it's like, oh, whatever. It's like it came out on Discovery Channel. You know what I mean? This is the usual alien documentary claiming that the pyramids were put up by them. This is not that. This is not what we're dealing with. I'm saying that, like, okay, we're in a new paradigm. We're in a new kind of angle where it's like, okay, aliens are just real, and we all kind of know that. Interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever you believe them to be, they're here, they're real, and they could be listening to your conversation right now. I'm sitting in a room alone right now, but there could be 5 tall grays standing around me right now as I'm recording this. They could be standing around me, but I can't perceive them because they exist within a dimension that I just yet can't grasp. Who knows? Who knows if these things are literally all around us as we speak? They are confirmed to be real. They are absolutely, like the Shane Dawson conspiracy videos that we all watched when we were kids were real. It's terrifying. It's actual. You know what? In order to try to get you to watch the documentary, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to play the trailer. Why not?
The American people are ready to receive the truth.
Are we? You know what the American people are ready for? Garlic knots. The American people are ready to go ahead and say, you know what the American people are ready for? They're ready to go to over their wife, and they're going to go, I don't think either of us feel like cooking tonight. And then she is eager to go, I totally agree, let's order Pizza Hut. And then they are going to order the most tremendous set of garlic knots. They're going to get stuffed crust. They're going to get everything, and it's going to be delicious. They're going to get that sauce that you can dip it in, and the butter and shit. It's going to be amazing. Do not forget the red pepper flakes or the Parmesan cheese. That is an essential.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists. UAPs are real. They're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I worked on highly classified UAP program.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
A 1-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
I was recruited to a highly sensitive government program that investigated unidentified aerial phenomena. For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic. We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans. I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings. The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
This is so secret, very, very few people in our entire government have been allowed access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for a species.
It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
T, everybody. Give it a watch if you haven't seen it yet. Why not? Otherwise, you know, do you really want to go on just not thinking about these things? Do you just really want to go on? If this is a true thing out there, do you really just want to be ignorant to it? I don't think so, because then you wouldn't listen to my show. That's the thing. People who listen to this show want to be informed. That's the types of fellas who listen to this. And ladies. It is fellas and ladies. Folks, let's hop into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. We got quite a few things to cover that I can't dedicate an entire story to, but they're good to touch on because you got to keep your media diet healthy. Hamas demands more pressure on Israel for Gaza ceasefire progress. Hamas has urged greater international intervention to compel Israel to honor the next phase of the U.S.-brokered Gaza ceasefire, amid reports of 376 Palestinian deaths since October 10th. Truce has began. Israel continues to restrict journalists' access to Gaza, delaying a court challenge to the ban. Best of luck to them, either side. I don't know. I'm going to keep it mysterious. UAE-backed forces seize southern Yemen. The United Arab Emirates supported troops that have declared control over Yemen's oil-rich southern region, including Aden, you know, the Gulf of Aden, all that. Escalating the civil war and raising fears of further fragmentation in the resource-dependent nation. Yep. I don't know what else to say about that. Best luck to Yemen. Trump urges Zelensky to end the Ukrainian war. President Trump publicly pressed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, dictator, to accept a peace deal with Russia, claiming Ukraine is losing the conflict. Zelensky responded by expressing readiness for elections within 3 months if allies provide security guarantees. No. You shouldn't need security guarantees from another nation in order to perform an election on your own grounds. That's ridiculous. Perform elections. Be an actual democracy so that we can feel good about defending a supposed democracy. Amid the U.S. Russia talks with refined 20-point proposal. Venezuelan opposition leaders Nobel ceremony drama Maria Corina Machado, the 2025 Peace Prize winner for her anti-Maduro activism, skipped the Oslo ceremony due to security threats. Her daughter escaped with the award. Machado's whereabouts remain undisclosed as U.S. plans for potential Venezuelan regime change. I know we haven't had that on our mind in a minute, right? It's almost old talk with, like, the Saddam Hussein, the 90s. But I haven't heard that, like, regime change. We haven't been talking regime change since Bush and shit like that. Really over-toppling countries. Well, I guess when we did it in Syria and whatnot with Obama. But let's be honest, a lot of things with Obama, it was just quieter. It was just less spoken about. There's a fucking siren going by my house. I swear to God, come on. I'm right in the middle of this. Go by as quickly as you can. I don't care whose house is burning. You need to go. It's definitely not around here. All right. Whatever. Thailand-Cambodia border clashes escalate. Renewed fighting along the disputed frontier has killed at least 12 people, including civilians, and forced over 500,000 evacuations. Cambodia withdrew from the Southeast Asia Games, while Thailand's army threatened severe retaliation. Both the U.S. and China called for de-escalation. We both have dogs in this race, and we're trying to pull them back. China and the United States are doing very Russia-United States Cold War type things where they got little dogs on leashes that are getting in each other's areas. They're biting at each other, but they're like lightly pulling on the leash. They're like, hey, get back here. Hey, they're not doing much. Federal Reserve cuts rates amid divisions. The Fed lowered its benchmark rate by 0.25%. to 3.5 to 3.75% for the third consecutive time, citing mixed economic signals and raising layoffs. Internal spits emerge, with some officials pushing for deeper cuts as inflation lingers above 2%. Not fun. Deadly Jakarta building fire claims 22 lives. A blaze engulfed a 7-story office building in Indonesia's capital, killing at least 22 and injuring dozens during morning evacuations. Authorities are probing the cause, with emergency services overwhelmed by the scale of disaster. Ugh. Not good, not good. We don't want to hear about that. Australia enforces world's first under-16 social media ban. Major platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook have now blocked most children in Australia under the age of 16, or they're facing fines up to $33 million. There's a few kids that are getting by it. They're commenting under the Prime Minister's post, "Still got it, mate," and it's like they're feeling good about themselves. I would feel rebellious too if I was them. It is kind of, it's ultimately, we have to say, it is better for them. It is better for them that they don't grow up with it, but damn, they're going to grow up weird and they're going to grow up different than the rest of us. The policy targets addictive algorithms but raises concerns over enforcement and kids shifting to unregulated apps. Epstein grand jury records set for release. A federal judge approved the unsealing of 2019 grand jury materials from Jeffrey Epstein's case, potentially exposing new details about his network of influencing related probes, including Ghislaine Maxwell. Cool and fun. We teased on that yesterday, but there's even more getting released. Really, really cool. Microsoft's record $17.5 billion AI investment in India's Microsoft account. Their account announced its largest AI commitment, $17.5 billion to accelerate India's AI-first future. Following CEO Satya Nadella's talks with PM Narendra Modi. This bolsters cloud and AI infrastructure amid booming tech investments like Amazon's $35 billion pledge. I have one final thing before we're going to go ahead and touch on our last story. We have Minneapolis mayor in solidarity with the Somali community. He's going ahead and he's saying, look, I feel for all of you. I know that Trump's coming for you, but I'm going to protect you. I will throw my coat over you before I do my own children. We have the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, however you pronounce it, it is Frey, eating or pretending to eat Somali food in an attempted show of solidarity. Let's just play the clip. If you don't know, this dish is ambulo, however you pronounce it. It's basically beans. They got wheat berries or corn, often served sweet with sesame seed oil, sun-dried raw mango, chutneys, yogurt, mustard paste, jaggery, and spices. And then he's gonna go ahead and he's gonna eat it. It's in this little Dixie bowl.
Yes, try it. Mix it.
Ugh. He takes a bite. He nods. He says it's delicious.
This is ambulo.
He stuffs another bite in before he swallows. Now he's chewing. He's continuously chewing. Oh, now, okay. As a professional bullshit eater, I'm a professional at, mixing around my food on my plate when I don't want to eat. As a professional bullshit eater, that's exactly what he's doing. He's over mixing his food. He's chewing for way longer than he needs to because he's I'm gonna get sick if I swallow it down too fast or if I swallow too big of bites. So he's swallowing it little by little while he's also just stirring it in front of him in order to try to reduce how sick he feels. And everybody claps for him. And it's bizarre. It's a weird show. I don't know if that heals racism in the cities. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if the Twin Cities are all healed now. Is ICE still raiding the one mall? The one mall where the one lady gave me attitude the one time? Yeah. go ahead. It's perfectly fine, and I'm sorry that their community is having a moment right now. They can have the same moment that Irish people had not too long ago. Maybe, over 100 years ago, but whatever. Folks, I want to talk about one final thing that, honestly, it makes me sad. It makes me sad to think about. It makes me sad to read it to you, but we need to talk about it, especially our generation, the younger folks. I know I'm not that young. I am unk and chopped. I'm 22. But we need to talk about this as young people. There has been... listen, it's a link, which we're not going to call definitive evidence, but there's a link between screen time and a 400% jump in early onset dementia. Recent reports from Dementia Australia, highlighted in November 2025 news coverage, have spotlighted a dramatic 400% increase in early onset dementia diagnoses among Australians aged 30 to 44 over the past decade, coinciding with a rise in average daily screen time over 6 hours for young adults. This age group, part of millennials and Gen Z, shows the steepest increase, with projections estimating over 50,000 young people affected by 2030. While not establishing direct causation, experts attribute the trend particularly to excessive screen exposure, with displaces cognitively enriching activities like reading or problem solving with passive consumption of short form content such as TikTok Reels and social media scrolls. A 2020 Blue Cross Shield study similarly documented a 373% rise in early onset dementia claims as a demographic, underscoring a global pattern beyond Australia. A pivotal 2022 hypothesis in the Journal of Integrative Neuroscience posits that chronic sensory overstimulation from screens during critical brain development periods, such as adolescence, alters gray and white matter volumes, impairs memory acquisition, and heightens vulnerability to mental health issues like anxiety and depression. All established dementia risk factors. The authors predicted a 4 to 6-fold increase in Alzheimer's and related dementias, ADRD, rates by 2060 and 2100 for those born post-1980. Far exceeding CDC estimates of a 2-fold rise due to the digital dementia effect. Digital dementia, people. Listen, if you are spending your nights scrolling on Instagram and things like that, and your family already has a history of it, I would say maybe the nights of scrolling are not a great idea. Maybe it's time for long-form content. I'm just gonna say it. If watching a movie feels like an accomplishment, if you're like, man, I feel really good about myself. I was able to sit through an hour 30 movie. You're retarded, and it might be beyond saving at this point. Like, you might be too far gone. If you are like, I can't sit through a television show without needing to scroll on Amazon to see what deals are available, or maybe go on Pinterest or something like that, it's over. It's over. If you cannot sit still for a television show, evidence is already saying that you're already going to be cooked. It's dead. Don't even worry about it. Just scroll on your phone, dummy. Supporting this, a 2023 scoping review in the PMC analyzed over 20 studies on midlife or older adults aged 40 plus, finding associations between prolonged screen use and accelerated cognitive decline via mechanisms like disrupted sleep, reduced physical activity, and structural brain changes in the parietal networks, regions implicated in Alzheimer's pathology. Additionally, in 2023 UK Biobank study of 462,000 participants linked over 4 hours of daily TV or computer screen time to elevated risks of vascular dementia, up to 20% higher than the normal. And all-cause dementia through interactive computer use showed milder effects than passive viewing. The use it or lose it brain paradigm explains much of the link. Screens promote fragmented attention and vertical video formats that bypass deep processing, eroding of executive function and working memory, core processors to MCI and dementia. Neuroimaging evidence from youth studies extrapolated to adults shows reduced hippocampal volume and altered connectivity akin to early dementia markers. And 2023 review further confirmed these deficits in children and teens, suggesting lifelong trajectories for heavy users. Users, we're talking about technology like it's users now, like, oh, you're abusing drugs. While co-founding factors like sedentary lifestyles and social isolation amplify risks, converging biophysical, societal data and human and animal models support screen time as a modifiable contributor. Consensus from over 100 global experts in 2025 reinforced this, calling for policy interventions to curb exposure and promote brain reserve building activities. We have to worry about this a lot. Let's just listen to this clip from today, and then I'll go ahead and I'll get out of your hair.
Well, how much time did you spend looking at a phone or tablet over the weekend? This morning, that daily habit is under a huge cloud.
Experts have found a worrying link between everyday screen time and a 400% jump in early onset dementia cases for young adults. So let's break this down now with neuroscientist Dr. Mark Williams. Doc, good to see you. Thanks for your time. I mean, these statistics are very alarming. I can't say I'm all that surprised, though, with the amount of time we spend on our screens.
Yeah, it is very, scary. We're seeing that 400% increase just amongst the really early onset dementia, which is at 35 to 45-year-olds. You look on a bus or on a tram or wherever, everyone's on devices these days, so it's not really that surprising, is it?
So what is the link? Is it definitive?
No, well, it's really hard because it's correlational, right? So, but there's so much converging evidence now from so many different areas, and I recently published work with 100 experts around the world, which was a consensus statement on all of the impacts we're seeing based on the devices, and this is just another one of those many, nails in the coffin, if you like.
What are you finding actually happens to the brain? Because, I mean, I know for myself, if I'm on my phone, I get distracted so easily by various things, and then you forget what you jumped on it for. What did the findings actually point to in terms of the impact on our brains?
Yeah, so we know we're seeing a huge decrease in intelligence levels, and that's for the first time in our history. The general population is getting less intelligent, and that can be, again, attributed to the devices. We're also seeing less socialisation. So there's concentration as well. It's really multifaceted because we're destroying our ability to actually attend to things because all of the clips and everything that we look at is so short that we're flicking from one to another, which is killing our attention. But then we're not thinking in the same way as we used to do, which is also killing our intelligence levels. And then we're not socialising, which is killing our ability to socialise. There's so many aspects to it that are really impacting on our brains.
This is what is most interesting. You'll meet people that are like your age. You'll meet people that are around your age group, maybe 20s, 30s, wherever you sit. And you're relatively, I don't know how much you think or how much you want to talk or whatever, but you'll come into contact with folks where it's like they're out by 8. It is like sundowning with some people where it's like, wait a minute, you're like 25 and you should not be this. And you know exactly what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. These people, they're either tired, they cannot have like meaningful discussions, they can't go in depth on how either how they're feeling, what a discussion would be. They cannot go in depth on like what they are planning on doing tomorrow or anything like that. They cannot be bothered to think about anything whatsoever until the next day. It's like it is sad to see, but you'll see it. It's a real actual thing. Where it's almost as though these people need caffeine in order to function. A lot of people nowadays, for some reason, it's energy drinks. They don't go with good old coffee for some reason. We have nuts. Actual insane people. I know people who are maybe not even 30 who have like situations with their heart because they have drank so much of the fucking caffeine from all of the dumb Monsters or whatever, anything. I don't understand how you can be so addicted to the jittery feeling versus being addicted to weed, being addicted to heroin, being addicted to the slow, kind of awesome, drifty feeling. I get if you're a weirdo nut who likes to be productive and you just like to itch the skin off of your forearms, but I'm not about that. I like to relax. That's what you know. I don't understand these people, but if you are looking at doing something for yourself today or doing something for yourself tomorrow, whatever, read a book. Do something interesting that is going to require maybe more than 10 minutes of your attention. Doing little things like that will definitely help in the most minimal way possible, but it's doing something, and it's doing something good for you. Folks, I appreciate you being here. This has been a wonderful broadcast. I had a great time with you today. I had a great collection. I hope you enjoyed going through them with me. We're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow. As per the usual, it's a Thursday, Friday. We got those 2 episodes left for the week, and then we got Monday. We take a break for the weekend, but, that's our upload schedule. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it. Thank you so much for being here as long as you have been. You don't have to get your news from anywhere, but you chose to get it from here. As I always say, don't trust me 100%. Do a little bit of your own research. I tend to get things wrong. But, that's just me. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I hope to catch you later. I hope that you tune in later. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and bye-bye.